9th of January, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
Background over here. Okay. Welcome back, everybody.
Thank you.
So what did we have over here? We have the Gemora is trying to figure out a way that the woman would be required to pay the injured party that she injured. She herself injured him, and the Mishnah says she's got no money to pay him though. So therefore, that's why it's Pigiyas and Ra.
All right.
That any encounters you have with such a type of a person are not so good because they're not obligated to pay because they have no money to pay you. Okay, so the Gemora's final suggestion, or I think it's the final suggestion, at any rate, it's the suggestion right now, is why not have the woman who owes him the money. The Gemara says, okay, now where is this? This is on the bottom of 89a, the very last two lines. The last line actually. The last line, so it'll be the very last thing in your that you have for 89a. So
I have it if you need it.
let's just read this over and then we'll see if we can go to the Tosus and see if we could get any more insight into this matter. Everybody have the point?
I have it.
Yes.
Point? Okay. Okay. So Alan, you want to start off the reading? The Chitema.
Sure. The Chitema, the Noah, the Hallway, the Salvua base, the Tovas, Naor. So let her sell the consumer directly to the person she injured for a discounted amount.
Okay. So she's going to sell her ksuba to this person for Tovas Ano.
So the note on this is the sale would not involve any transfer of money. Rather, the Gemara means that the woman should assign her ketubah to her victim as payment for the injury.
Oh, wow. So she's going to get no money from this. She's going to lose her whole ksuba.
So the question is, what follows this?
Yeah, let's see what does the Gemara say after this.
Oh, I didn't. All right. I'm sorry, I didn't know I was muted. If she assigns her ketuvah to the party she injured, does that mean that she physically keeps the ketuvah on her until such a time when it can be cashed in, or if it can be?
You know, that's the other problem that we have over here. She doesn't have a ksuba if she's going to be transferring the ksuba over to this third party, the injured party.
Well, we answered that. We said that the person who now is holding the ketsuva can collect.
Yeah, that's
she has to hold on to it. That was the question. She can't be for now without a kasuba. That was the question you asked. We haven't answered. if she's giving it to somebody else.
Yeah, the only question that I had with that is that I don't see I don't know if see, there's really two reasons that Rebbe Meir that the Gemara is given that Rebbe Meir objects to the woman not having a ksuba. One is the reason that it'll be easy for the husband to divorce her, and the Gemara said based upon that reason that if the purchaser of the ksuba is going to be able to cash in on the ksuba, so then fine, so we're okay. He's not gonna divorce her so easily because even if he doesn't have to pay his wife the ksuba, but he has to pay somebody the ksuba. So it's all the same as far as that reason goes. But there was another reason over here that the husband shouldn't have his wife without a ksuba altogether because of bilas nus. So I was not sure whether, according to that reasoning, it doesn't seem like the Gemara is. It doesn't seem to me like the Gemara is bothered with that issue because it keeps talking about let the woman do this with the ksuba, let the woman do that with the ksuba. Now we're talking about let the woman give the ksuba to the nechbal, to the injured party himself. We don't need a third party person to purchase it. We'll give it to him himself. So again, that's I understand that means that he's going to get the ksuba in his hands. It's not, and she's not holding on to it right now.
Rabbi, I'm a little bit unclear on the second reason. Looking at where it says a time of mai on Pei Tet Amid Aleph, kind of in the middle of the page. What is the reason for Rabbi Meir's ruling? It only gives one reason.
Yeah, but Tosfos, which we tried to learn, Dibur Maskell Taima, right across the way from that.
Yeah.
Tosfos points out that the Gemara in Ksubas mentions another reason for Rebbe Meir.
Oh, okay. I remember now. Yeah. Thank you.
So, okay. So that's another issue over here. What happened to the matter of Bilas Nus if she doesn't have a ksuba while she's still living with the husband? But so that's another issue. But the real issue that we wanted to know about was the what we're going to read now in the next section of the Gemora. So let's read the next. So far we have the Gemora's suggestion is let her sell or assign the ksuva to the injured party himself, and so if his horse comes in, so to speak, and the husband is obligated to pay out the ksuba because he predeceases his wife or he divorces her, so then that injured party will get 200 zuz on the ksuba. Very nice. But and then the Gemara, so we go on to the Amud Beis. You have to read Amud Beis. So you want to, Roy, you want to continue with Amud Beis? The E Machla.
The E Machla Legevi Baal Lo Ka Machsid. But then, even if she gives it to her husband, he, the buyer, that's a victim, does not suffer a loss. Bahashta Gamela Made Ka Yava lay, because now, too, she is not giving him anything. Soft, soft, kol legabi ba'al v'day machala. Still, anything regarding the husband, she certainly will forgive. Ruchi bi dina bachadi la mitada hinan. And we do not trouble the court for nothing. So if a woman injures someone, we do not require her to sell her kasuba to compensate her victim, says the addition here.
Okay. Okay, right. So that's basically the story over here. That we're basically saying it's not we're not going to require the woman to sell or assign the ksuba to the injured party that she injured, because in any case she's going to excuse the obligation of the husband to pay it. And we said that according to Shmuel, if she does so, it works. And so therefore, it's a lose-lose situation, basically. The woman loses her ksuba because she sold it or assigned it to this guy. So she's not getting her ksuba. And the guy's not getting, the injured party's not getting anything either, because she's going to excuse the obligation of the husband to pay it after she sells it to him or assigns it to him. So it's a lose-lose situation. And the Gemara says that the Bezdin there's no reason for the Bezdin to require the woman to sell the ksuba in such a case. So that's now the explanation of the Mishnah, why the Mishnah says that the woman has no assets to compensate the victim that she injured.
Rabbi, now that you have pointed out that Mary Mir has a second reason, why doesn't it mention that second reason also? It would seem that would be a stronger argument than saying we don't want to waste the Beis Din's time.
Right. Right. That's a good point. Very good point. So either that answer is in Tosfos and we just didn't fathom Tosfos' answer, or Tosfos didn't address himself to that issue because he feels it's self-explanatory that it's not a problem, and Tosfos understands why it's not a problem, but we don't understand why it's not a problem because we don't properly understand what the reason of Rabbi Meir is. But in any case, that's something that we have to explore. What's the answer to this question? What's doing with that issue? But the other reason, the other issue that we had is what's the other reason what was the other thing that we had? How is the wife wait, how's the, we don't we all is also difficult for another reason. We don't really understand the din of Shmuel. We don't really understand it. We don't understand why it is that Shmuel says that the creditor, after selling the IOU to a third party, he could forgive the borrower. We don't really understand why that should be.
Right.
But Shmuel says that that if he does so, the obligation is excused. And so the Gemara has just mentioned it it didn't ask about the Shmuel. It's not its place to ask about it over here. That sugya is over in Ksubis about that issue. And the Gemara just makes use of the din of Shmuel and mentions that since the wife will certainly do it, so that it's a waste of the court's time to bother with requiring the woman to sell the ksuba to the injured party. Okay, so we have an awful lot of questions about this whole sugya over here. Meanwhile, the Gemora is going on to another point.
We have a monster note in the Ostrom to try to explain it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's he trying to explain?
To summarize, and it has a lot. So you want to read it, Roy? Go ahead.
No. You
I don't
go on.
Yeah. This article says, to summarize, if a married woman injures someone, we do not force her to sell her basic suba, that is the right to collect 100 or 200 sous, and give the sale money to her victim, because she will invariably turn around and forgive this amount to her husband, and the court will then have caused a financial loss to the buyer. Furthermore, we do not even force her to sign the rights of collection of this sum to the victim himself, but this is an exercise in futility, since her forgiving of the kasuba is a foregone conclusion. However, if the woman owns malug or tson barzel property, then she can be made to sell that property and use the money to pay off her victim. Of course, she cannot sell the property at its full value, because no buyer will pay this amount, since the rights of the property's produce belong to the husband for the duration of his marriage. And she also cannot sell the essence of the property, with the buyer definitely receiving the use of the property after she dies, even if she dies during the lifetime of the husband, because the enactment of Usha disallows such a sale. What she can and therefore must do is to sell that property on the chance that her husband dies or divorces her. The small discounted amount, Tovad Hana, realized from the speculatory sale is then given to the victim towards his compensation. When the Mishnah states that a woman who injures someone does not pay as long as she's still married, it refers to a woman who does not own malug or tson barzel property. It continues, the foregoing is what emerges from our sugya. It must be noted, however, that Rashi to our Mishnah makes the comment that married women have no money with which to pay, because the maluk property of the wife is mortgaged to her husband for produce and inheritance. The impression given by this statement is that even a woman who has maluk property need not pay her victim. And it says, see the Hagas Gra Ashrei to Rosh, in seeming contradiction to our Gemara. Perhaps, however, Rashi's intent is merely to say that married women with maluk property have no significant amount of money to pay their victims, since the amount she can realize for selling her maluk property on speculation the husband will die first or divorce her is relatively small. Rashi makes this comment in order to justify the Mishnah's categorical statement concerning married women that if they injure others, they are exempt, which implies that married women never compensate their victims.
So now I want to add a third question to our list of questions.
Yeah.
And that is tson barzel. My understanding is that the way tson barzel works is at the time of the marriage, they assess the value of the property and they write into the ksuva that the husband has an obligation to pay the amount of the assessment of the property in the event of divorce or widowhood. And the property now becomes the property of the husband. He is the owner 100% of the Tzon Barzell property. So if that understanding is correct, then how can it say that the woman can sell the Tzon Barzell property? She doesn't own it.
Yeah, it's not really 100% true that the husband now owns the property completely. It's not really true because the Gemora says later on, the Gemora already said actually that that he's going to inherit that property.
Right. So what does it mean to say that the value of the property is an obligation on him? If he doesn't own the property, then how does that work? I don't understand how that works.
No, that's the agreement. That's the agreement of the ksuba. The agreement of the ksuba is that, right, when they sit down at the negotiating table, the two fathers of these two children, they say, okay, I have the father of the girl says, I have property X, Y, and Z. So the other father says, oh, so you want to make any of that Nixay Tzon Barzell? He says, yeah, okay, I'll make the first one Tzon Barzell, and the other two are Nixay Malu. What does that mean? It means that the Tzon Barzell property, the boy is going to guarantee that if he pays a ksuba, she's going to get that amount of the property. That amount of she's going to get that value. It's guaranteed. That's the iron sheep property.
So let's say the first property is worth $10,000. That's the assessed value. That's the market value.
Right.
So now he writes into the ketuvah, I owe you $10,000.
Right. It's in other words, in addition to the 200, which is the bottom line ksuba amount, he's also writing in for Nixay Tzon Barzell $10,000.
Okay. Now,
yeah,
the wife sells Tzon Barzell, and then she passes away, and she spent the money that she got when she sold the Tzon Barzell. She got $10,000 for it. She spent it. She had a nice vacation, and it's gone. So now the husband has to pay her estate $10,000.
No. If she predeceases him, just like the husband doesn't have to pay her the 200 zuz, he also doesn't have to pay her the Nixay Tzon Barzell. It's part of the ksuba. It's written in the ksuba.
Right. All right. So let's say they're divorced. The husband divorces the wife. Now, does he have to pay her $10,000?
Yeah. Got to pay her 200 zuz for the bottom line of the ksuba. And then he also has to pay any Nixay Tzon Barzell that was written into the ksuba.
So the husband really got cheated here.
Oh no, so now the question is like this. The question is, what happens to who now owns that property? Does the wife remain the owner of the property?
She sold it.
He divorced her. Yeah, I mean, in the event that she predeceases him, he inherits that property. He gets that property.
So can he take it from the purchaser?
Yeah, it's his. He's the
What if-
Lokea Rishon. That's Takanas Usha.
So what if the purchaser sold it to somebody else? Buyer beware, he can take it from whoever?
He's the Lokea Rishon. He's the first purchaser.
I see.
So it's that's what it is.
So anybody who buys Tzon Barzel property from a married woman is taking a big risk.
Well, the amount that he's going to pay for it is a discounted amount, just like the amount of Nixay Malug is a discounted amount, just like the amount of the Ksub itself is a discounted amount, because he doesn't know whether he's going to ever get it. He may not get anything, because if the wife predeceases, the wife doesn't get the 200 zuz. The husband doesn't have to pay anybody 200 zuz if the wife predeceases him, and he doesn't have to give the $10,000 that was written into the ksuva to anybody. He's exempt from that obligation. And in addition to that, since the husband is the inheritor of the wife, so he inherits her. And this that we have to Takanas Usha, this was what prevented the wife from pulling the rug out from under the husband and figuring out a way to sell the property and avoid him inheriting her. So she won't be able to do that either. So if she predeceases him, so he's going to inherit all this property.
So if she sells the property and then the husband divorces her, then the husband has to give her the $10,000, but the husband can also take the property away from the purchaser. So he gets the property that's ostensibly worth $10,000 and he doesn't lose out, correct?
That would seem to be the case. In other words, the same, either well, that's what we want to know. We want to know if the husband divorces or passes away, so his estate has to pay her $10,000 for the property. But his estate inherits the property? How does that work? Does it inherit? It can't be called an inheritance because he passed away before her. It's a bit of a sticky point. I'm not. On the one hand, if we say that it's already his property, we understand it. If we say that it's not, so I don't see exactly how it is that it's transferred to him.
Well, if we say it's already his property, though, then I have a difficulty that how can she sell it if it's his property?
Yeah,
You're
he
saying
doesn't.
it's not his property yet. It's her property until she dies, and then it's his property.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's definitely not his property right now. It's definitely not his property right now, because we know that she could sell the both the Malug and the Tzon Barzel for Tovas Hana. She could sell any of her property for this discounted value to a purchaser,
Right.
But with the proviso, of course, that the purchaser is going to lose it all if she predeceases the husband. Then we know that the husband inherits the property, and he doesn't have to pay the 10,000 either. What we want to know is what happens if the husband divorces or passes away before her.
Right.
He definitely has to pay everything in the ksuba. That's for sure. He's got to pay everything in the ksuba. He's got to pay the 200 of the ksuba. He's got to pay the 10,000 some barzel of the ksuba, and he obviously doesn't inherit any property. He's the one that passed away. He's not inheriting anything. So what happens? What happens to that property? It would seem to me that he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. Because I think that's the case where we say that we have to have one case, right? We have to have one case where the purchaser does in fact successfully get the property. That's what he's paying for. That's what he's paying his tovas anah for, right? So if we say, oh, well, if the wife passes away, so what happens to the property? The property is inherited by the husband and the purchaser loses out. Correct. But if the husband passes away or divorces her, I would say that the purchaser, it would seem that would be the scenario. In either of those two scenarios, the husband passes away or he divorces, and in that case, that's where the purchaser of those properties that the wife sold, that person will successfully own those properties now.
Well, if the husband divorces her and therefore he has to pay the 10,000 to her, it would seem logical that he can now go and take the property away from the purchaser because he's paying for it.
He guaranteed to pay her this money. Whether he's gonna seems to me the only scenario that he's going to get the property is if he inherits it when she predeceases him. Otherwise, what is this purchaser going to get? What's he paying money to the wife to get? In which case is he going to get his property?
When the husband dies.
When the husband dies, he's going to get the property.
Right.
But also in the case where the husband dies, he has to pay the 10,000. Either case, there's two cases where the husband is going to pay the 10,000. Either if he passes away before the wife or he divorces her. In both of those cases, he's got to pay the 10,000.
Right, but we said he can't inherit her if he dies first.
Right?
So therefore, there's no legal
Makes sense.
mechanism for him to acquire the property. Whereas if he's alive, then he can acquire the property legally.
But it was sold. Seems to me the only way that he's able to get that property is if he inherits it. If the wife predeceases him.
I see.
I don't think there's a distinction between whether he passes away or whether he divorces. As far as the halacha goes, that's what triggers his obligation to pay the ksuba.
Right.
So in either one of those cases, he's going to have to pay the ksuba. And what does he get for the fact that he paid her that $10,000? He doesn't get anything. That was the deal. That was the deal. If she predeceases him, he gets the property, and he doesn't have to pay the $10,000. But if he divorces and he passes away first, so he doesn't get the property, and he also has to pay the 10,000. That's the deal.
So only the case where the woman dies first do we have a situation where the purchaser loses out,
I think so.
right? I see.
That's what I'm saying right now, till I find out differently.
One more question. What about the produce of the Tzon
Oh.
Barzell?
Right. So during the terms of for sure during the time that they're married to one another, the husband is getting the profits generated by all properties in the possession of his wife.
Okay. And if she sells the Tzon Barzell, does the purchaser now get the produce, or does the husband still get the produce?
The husband still gets it.
Husband still gets it.
So there's really two reasons why this purchaser is not going to pay a whole lot of money for this property. Number one, he's right now not getting the profits of the property, and number two, he may never get he may never get the property altogether.
So if the husband dies first, then and if the wife sells the Tzon Barzell and the husband dies first, then the property stays in the hands of the purchaser, and the produce now becomes also the property of the purchaser.
Yeah.
So that's the scenario where he makes out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's very helpful.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, any questions? We have 3 minutes left. So, just if you take a look, we have 2 minutes left. We just take a look at this quick question that Tosus asks over here. This is the last Tosus on 89a. It's the Dibur Maskil is Kol Lagabe Bala Vadai Mochla. So right, the Gemora is taking on that the wife is going to excuse the husband's obligation, and therefore the Gemara is going to say that there's no basis for the court to get involved over here. There's nothing to be accomplished for the court to get involved. It's a lose-lose situation. Tosus asks a question over here. The first words of Tosus, he says, "Im toima utazavin labal." Tazavin labal, v'tesev le'lenechbal. Let the wife sell the ksuba. Let the wife sell the tovas and of the ksuba to the Baal, and with that she'll get some money, and she'll be able to pay the nechbal. She'll be able to pay the party that she injured. Why didn't the Gemara suggest this possibility?
Because of Rabbi Meir. Then she truly would have no kasuva.
Yeah, again, here we see that correct. We see that the fact that the wife doesn't have a ksuba at this point doesn't seem to be a problem. Well, so what's happening over here actually? She is selling the ksuba to the husband. So the husband's already bought the ksuba, and now he's not. Oh, you mean even according to the Gemora's reason that it gave. It won't be so hard for him to divorce her now. We don't want her to not have a ksuba for that reason. And while the Gemora said where she sells it to a third party, we don't have that problem, because if the Baal divorces her, she'll have to pay the ksuba to the purchasers of the ksuba. But in this case, the husband has already paid for the ksuba. He's already paid for the ksuba. So if so at this point, right after he pays for the ksuba, he'll be very easy for him to divorce her. So why would Tosfos, Lou is asking, why would Tosfos make this suggestion? We now put the wife in a situation where the husband it'll be very easy for the husband to divorce her. Let's see what Tosfos answers. Tosfos gives a very short answer over here. And then with that, we'll conclude, because it's already 31. Tosfos says, Yesh loymar, shehabal lo yiratzeh liknos. The husband does not want to buy the ksuba from his wife. Why? Shelo lahafsid leishto. He doesn't want to cause a loss to his wife. He's not going to do that. He's a good guy. He loves his wife. Why would he want to do that? He'll say, I'm not prepared to do that. That's why she doesn't like, and that's going to answer Lou's question. Why is she allowed to be mochel the ksuba of the third party? She doesn't like that guy. Her husband wouldn't do that to her. But the third party is willing to do that. So she says to him, oh, that's what you want to do to me? Oh, I got something to do to you also. Okay.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
All the
See you-
best.
See you at 4
Have
o'clock.
a great day. Have a great week.
Yes, Alan.
Okay.
Okay.